We are live. What is up, people? Mock Draft Simulator PFF. I'm Andrew Erickson. That's Jared Evans. And we're going to do a mock draft here. Jared, draft season is here. The week has finally arrived. Are you amped?
Oh, how can you not be amped, especially after that amazing press conference we had today down in San Francisco, where Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch gave us a nice little peek behind the curtain into who they're picking at number 3. So it's draft season. The fever's here. So we got to do more mocks.
Yeah, we got to do more mocks. I know I'm going to have a final mock come out. I know I did a mock a couple weeks ago, and it was a doozy. These mocks, people think that they're easy to do. They're really not. Like, especially the first one you do, you are diving in deep. You want to make everything fit, and because you don't want to be called out for the one pick you make that just makes no sense whatsoever, even though we're probably going to see a couple of those picks made during the actual NFL draft where we're all kind of like scratching our heads being like, okay, well, why did they make that pick? Like, we're not really sure why they did that, and maybe that'll happen at number 3 because look, Kyle Shanahan said himself, he doesn't care what the draft experts say. He doesn't care what the 49ers fans are saying. He's drafting Mac Jones or whoever they're going to take, not buying the Trey Lance stuff. It's going to be Mac Jones. Justin Fields is seemingly falling to, the second round at this point. Like, who knows what the Justin Fields free fall is going to end up being, but that's enough waxing poetic about some of those guys. Let's dive into it, Jared. All right. You are on the clock with the Jaguars. Who are you going with?
So I think you can bet like $100 to win $1 for Trevor Lawrence to be the number 1 pick in the draft, which honestly seems like a free way to win a buck here. I mean, look, Lawrence can make any throw he needs. It's hard to find any negatives in his game. He's going to be awesome in Jacksonville, and hopefully they surround him with enough weapons, adding on to Laviska Shenault, DJ Chark, James Robinson, etc., to continue his bright future there. Oh,
they're going to add some weapons. They're going to add. Look, again, we talked about Trevor Lawrence. We all know he's good. And I think that's a reminder that if go watch some highlights because he is really good. And he's been locked in at number 1 for so long. It seems like we kind of forgot about it, but the guy's really good. And one thing to note, I think, talking about, we stem for some fantasy. We'd like to talk some fantasy here. But James Robinson, guys, James Robinson is going to, his fantasy value is going to tank after this draft. I guarantee it. Like, the Travis Etienne, things like that, I think that there's a real shot that Travis Etienne ends up there, whether it's at their first round pick or in the second round. A lot of problems there for James Robinson.
I'm still holding out hope that they don't go running back early. There's so many other positions they can draft. That team has needs literally everywhere on the entire roster. So it just, I don't know, I could see them draft, a tight end like Pat Freiermuth has been a mock there at the end of round 1 or at the top of round 2, or any of those awesome receivers, Elijah Moore, Terrace Marshall Jr., Rondale Moore. I think there's a lot of ways they can give Lawrence weapons. And then, next thing you know, it's the 2nd, 3rd, 4th round. They haven't addressed running back. And then we got James RB1 season back in action 2021. So,
yeah, I'll buy it when I see it. All right, we'll move on to the next pick. All right, so it's Zach Wilson, number 2 to the Jets. No, people are telling me in the chat that we need to be faster. You guys got to be smart about how you put out content. I don't know. We're getting complaints, so I guess we'll move a little bit faster here. So Zach Wilson, number 2. We'll go back to you with the 49ers, Jared.
I mean, if you watch that press conference, that just screamed Mac Jones. Like, they were just trying to come up with every excuse in the book to say Mac Jones has been their guy from the get-go. It's a shame not buying any Lance or any Fields talk, but is what it is. Kyle Shanahan will get his next Matt Ryan.
Yep, I agree there with the pick. All right, so Falcons. Look, Julio Jones came out. The trade rumors are that he's going to be traded after June 1st. And to me, that kind of indicates that this team isn't – I don't know. You don't make the trade – you don't trade away Julio Jones if you're a win-now team, right? Like, I guess that's the way I kind of look at it. Like, why would they trade away a player that's not necessarily in his prime but still has years left on his thing? I don't know. So for me, it's an indication that they want to go with Trey Lance. I think that they like Trey Lance. I think it makes sense for them to go there with him at number 4. So that's going to be my pick for the Falcons. They're going to get their quarterback of the future. Like Terry Fontenot, the new GM, doesn't have any attachments to Matt Ryan necessarily. So I'm going to go with Trey Lance to the Atlanta Falcons.
Okay. I like that. Lance is, I think, my favorite of these quarterbacks outside of Lawrence. All right, at 5, you're giving me Pitts here on the board, but I'm going with Joe Burrow's old boy, Jamar Chase. I mean, he's arguably the best wide receiver prospect of the last decade. Wide receivers are just, I think, a more impactful position than tight end. Kyle Pitts is friggin' awesome, but give me that Burrow Chase deep ball connection and draft O-line in rounds 2 and 3.
I like it a lot. Get a tackle a little bit later. I think that it makes sense. Get Jamar Chase. They need a deep threat. AJ Green was the league's worst deep threat last year and made Joe Burrow's deep numbers absolutely terrible. Let's get those numbers back to 2019 form when he was one of the best deep ball passers in college football. Let's do it for our guy Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. Miami Dolphins, I think it's easy here. We're going to go with Kyle Pitts at number 6. Look, I've been preaching to the choir about Kyle Pitts and the connection there. I think that it makes a lot of sense. Get a dynamic weapon for Tua, someone that can get open. Guys were not getting open last year. Now you got Will Fuller in the mix. You got Kyle Pitts, and Tua is going to be a much better quarterback in 2021 because he actually has weapons to throw to instead of, what was his name? Jakeem Grant. Yeah, Jakeem Grant as his number 1. Lynn Bowden Jr. operating as the slot. None of those guys.
All right. At 7 for the Lions, I think this could be a prime spot for your Patriots to trade up. But with our favorite kneecap biter, Dan Campbell here, Penei Sewell being on the board, I don't see how they passed up the best offensive lineman in the draft. The Lions have so many needs everywhere. Sewell is a generational tackle prospect, and they're not winning anytime soon. So they're just going to build that roster, and Sewell makes a lot of sense.
I agree. I think that it makes perfect sense because you have a new head coach, you have a new general manager. You can't mess up this pick. Like the old Lions of past would be like, all right, let's go wide receiver here. But no, let's draft a generational. Throw that word out a lot. Let's draft a generational tackle prospect, but let's draft someone that they can feel confident, lock it in, and kind of however they handle the rest of their roster with quarterback or what have you. They at least know, okay, we got this good guy, this good tackle that we can kind of build around, whether we want to run the football, we want to block. I think it makes a lot of sense there. All right, Carolina Panthers, right? This is where things start to get really interesting with this draft because you got Justin Fields there and you have this Sam Darnold thing going on where they're not sure. They haven't picked up his 5th-year option. So it's weird because they said that they were going to pick it up and then they haven't picked it up. So what does that mean? Does it mean that, hey, we wanted a quarterback? A lot of different things here, but I think that Justin Fields isn't their guy. I think that that's not the player that they wanted at quarterback, so they're going to stick with Darnold, and they're going to get Rashawn Slater because they need offensive line help. So I could definitely see it be Fields there if that's ultimately the guy that they want, but all indications are, to me, that I've seen is that Fields wasn't the guy that they were really interested in, so I'm going to go with Rashawn Slater there.
Yeah, that pick makes sense. And I don't think the Darnold trade excludes them from going quarterback if Lance or Fields falls. They didn't give up that much for Darnold. And I think you're seeing teams be willing to dedicate these extra resources to make sure that they have viable backup quarterback situations. And obviously they don't really feel comfortable with Teddy Bridgewater. So, all right, that gives me Justin Fields at number 9 for the Broncos, which I think would be a dream landing spot for fantasy football, for regular football, for everyone, really. I mean, Justin Fields throwing bombs to Jerry Jeudy, Noah Fant. It's just going to be Yahtzee party. Cortland Sutton, just give me all that for the Denver Broncos.
I think that the Justin Fields fall will stop at the Broncos for sure. I don't see the Broncos trading up, though, to get him. I think that it needs to be a scenario like we kind of played out here where he just kind of falls to them and we just don't see a team leap over them and potentially trade. So that's something I could have potentially done maybe with the Panthers, was traded with another team, trade back with, the Patriots or something like that. But that's not how this mock ended up going. All right, Dallas going to go chalk because it's just the chalkiest pick. But it just makes so much sense. Patrick Surtain, look, he's one of the better corners. And I think the difference between him and like Caleb Farley is Caleb Farley hasn't played in such a long time. So you could argue that, Farley's better or JC Horn's better, but from a floor standpoint, like they can start this guy from day one and it's just going to help their defense significantly. He fits the scheme really well with Dan Quinn. So I think it just makes too much sense. I mean, every mock I've seen has Patrick Surtain at number 10 to Dallas. So, but sometimes we get it right. Sometimes we nail it. Last year we were all over Justin Jefferson to the Eagles, and that's what the pick should have been. Ended up not happening, but yeah, Surtain number 10 to the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I love that. They need a corner. Surtain is a dog. I don't think he allowed more than like 50 yards in a single game last year. Just absolute stud. All right, for the Giants, I would never dream about a trade down possibility from our favorite general manager, Dave Gettleman here.
Oh, no.
And there's no way he is spending the number 11 overall pick on a 170-pound receiver like Devonta Smith, even though he's a superstar. And there's no way he's spending one on a slot receiver like Jalen Waddle, again, even though he's a superstar. So with both the tackles off the board, I'm going with Micah Parsons here. Dude is an athletic freak at the linebacker position. He'll juice up their pass rush. And he's just got the profile of a guy that these NFL grinders like Gettleman are really going to love. So I could totally see that happening.
All right. That means I'm back on the clock picking for the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm going to go with Devonta Smith because who is Devonta Smith most commonly comped to? Deshaun Jackson. Who drafted Deshaun Jackson? The Philadelphia Eagles. So if there's a team that could take a risk on a undersized wide receiver that has seen it pan out in front of them, it is the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm going to go with Devonta Smith to Philadelphia. You're on the clock, Chargers.
I mean, the Chargers need to protect Justin Herbert. I know they signed 2 offensive linemen this offseason, but I think you keep adding. Christian Darrisaw is a legitimate top 20 prospect. I know Slater and Sewell are off the board here, but getting another tackle at 13 like Darrisaw is I think a good pick. So let's give Herbert some more protection.
That makes sense to me. Okay, here we go. Minnesota Vikings. So this is a pick that, the chalky pick is Kwity Paye. Like that's like every mock draft I've seen and done has Kwity Paye and locked in. But something I'll talk about is that Spielman has never drafted defensive end with the first, second round pick, making the selection to the Vikings at number 14. Very uncharacteristic of him. So something else, maybe a little pivot, maybe something a little bit different. I'm going to go with offensive line and go with Elijah Vera Tucker, who's got experience both at tackle and guard. So this is definitely something that's a little bit unique. You're going to see a lot of Kwity Paye across all mock drafts, but just based on Spielman's history, I just don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he's going to take a pass rusher, especially Kwity Paye, because especially this class is so it seems like everyone has a different top tier pass rusher, whether it's Jalen Phillips or, looking at some of these other players, or Jalen Phillips, excuse me. So that's my pick there for the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah, I like that. They need offensive line help. Kirk Cousins was under pressure basically all season last year. Jalen Waddle would be fun man there though with Thielen and Jefferson if he slips. So all right. So for the Patriots, I am not going to take a wide receiver here. I'm going to go with J.C. Horn.
Yes, good pick.
Absolute dog out of South Carolina. And it seems like Stephon Gilmore is going to be out the door there sooner rather than later. So they need to build up that defense. They spent so much money on the offense this offseason. So I think they build the defense here with one of the best cornerbacks in this draft class.
All right, with the 16th pick, I'm going to go with Jalen Waddle for the Arizona Cardinals. You don't have Larry Fitzgerald anymore. He's out of the mix. You now have the slot wide open. People are talking about Christian Kirk moving back in the slot. Sorry, Christian Kirk, you're staying outside. We're getting Jalen Waddle into the slot, who has been arguably the best slot wide receiver. He is the best slot wide receiver in this class. You look at any type of metric, whether it's passer rating, whether it's big plays generated, PFF grade, Jalen Waddle owns it all in the slot. And we see a lot of 4 wide sets with the Arizona Cardinals. So get somebody across the field from DeAndre Hopkins because it is barren for the Arizona Cardinals to continue to build around Kyler Murray. Raiders, man. What are the Raiders doing?
That's another team that just needs everything, especially on defense. Their secondary needs so much help. I mean, Trevon Moehrig is the chalky pick there that ends up, I feel like, going to the Raiders in most mock drafts, and I'll stick with that. I think he makes a lot of sense. He is a ball hawk back there and can help solidify the secondary. And when you're playing in a division with Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, solidifying your secondary should be the most important thing you are doing on defense.
Agreed. That's exactly what they should be doing. All right. Miami Dolphins are on the clock here. What direction do I want to go in? So let's see.
So you got Pitts before at number 6.
Yep. We got Pitts before. I had to double check. I was like, all right, who did I get? So it would make sense to go with the offensive line here. Would probably make the most sense. And I had to see which offensive linemen are available. Need to check. I know I like Tevin Jenkins. Tevin Jenkins would probably be the guy I'd be looking at. An interior line I don't like as much. The value's not really there. And you look at Tua, he's a left-handed quarterback, which means Tevin Jenkins is probably a little bit more valuable to the Miami Dolphins because considering he plays right tackle, that's Tua's blind side. So maybe he offers a little bit more. So I'll go with Tevin Jenkins at tackle from Oklahoma State. He plays right tackle, so it's good for Tua's blind side. Let's go with Tevin Jenkins.
I like that. Yep. O-line for the Dolphins there makes sense if they grab a skill guy with the first pick. All right. So we got Washington. Man. I feel like Barmore on that D-line is so nasty.
It's too much.
Too many. I know. All right. Let's give them Rashad Bateman. McLaurin needs another running mate. Yeah, they're another team that could move up for quarterback, but they need more weapons on offense. And Rashad Bateman is an absolute superstar, inside outside guy. He can dominate in the slot, dominate outside. He's my number 4 receiver in this class. Actually, number 3. I've got him over Waddle, believe it or not. So that's the pick there.
All right. What are the Chicago Bears going to do? What am I going to do with the Chicago Bears? So historically, again, I think Tevin Jenkins is really like the best pick here. Obviously, he's not available because he got taken by the Miami Dolphins. So I think that I'm actually going to go with some defensive end. I think I'm going to go with the defensive line, add to that pass rush a little bit. So I'm going to go with, so I know we didn't talk about him first, but I'll go with Kwity Paye. Actually, no, I'll go with Jalen Phillips. Let's get some pass rush going. Let's go with Jalen Phillips. There we go.
I like that. All right. For the Colts, they are another team that I think could use some receiver help. But let's see here. You want to scroll down a little bit on the players on the screen? We got Farley. We got Kwity Paye. Oh, Kwity Paye, man. Yeah, he's a beast. Let's go with him. Give them some more edge rushers. I know the Colts have a really good defense, great scheme, but they need to keep stacking up that pass rush. So Kwity Paye's slide ends there. That value is just too good.
I agree. I think that makes a ton of sense. Okay, let's see. What are we doing with the Tennessee Titans? All right, so the Titans, they tried to draft a tackle last year. Didn't work out too great. Isaiah Wilson. Arguably so again, Jared, I don't know if you saw, someone was saying that Jordan Love was the worst first-round pick last year, and someone corrected that person, was like, no, Isaiah Wilson was the first-round pick last year because he's not even in the league anymore. So there's still hope for Jordan Love, who was the probably 31st ranked pick from last year's draft. He is better than Isaiah Wilson. I think that's pretty safe to say. But yeah, I think the Titans go back to the tackle well here. I think that they don't necessarily just kind of throw it out the window. So I'm going to go with Samuel Cosmi, Texas. Get a tackle.
Yeah, there's a ton of good offensive line depth. Brian Gutekunst, Packers GM, on his press conference today was asked which position he thought had the most top tier depth in this draft class, and his immediate response was tackles, O-line. So I think we could see a surprising number of them go early here, like we are mocking right now. So the Jets are up here, and man, I am very tempted to give them a running back because
Oh my God.
why not? They need one, and they're the Jets. So
I'm
gonna give them I'm gonna give them Najee Harris.
Oh
I
my
think
God.
I think he's just a guy that NFL teams are gonna look at and say, you can come in and get 300 touches on our team from day one. And Robert Saleh comes from the Kyle Shanahan run the ball school there. So I think Najee is going to be a fun pairing as a bell cow in New York, who would make fantasy managers very happy.
All right, well, the Jets just sniped the Steelers because the Steelers were going to take Najee. So now the Steelers have to take their second-ranked running back. So they're going to take Travis Etienne from Clemson. He's a good fit with the zone type of running game that Matt Canada wants to run with the Steelers. So I like Travis Etienne there for the Steelers. Jaguars are back up. Are they going to go? Is it going to be 3 running backs in a row? Jared, please say no. Please. God, no.
No. We're not going crazy here. Although we got a good prop boost up on DraftKings Sportsbook now. You can get like plus 250, I think, for over 1.5 running backs in the first round of the draft.
Oh God. Analytics Twitter is going to lose their freaking minds if there are 2 running backs taken in the first round. Oh my God.
Oh my God. It's going to happen. All right. So I want to give Trevor Lawrence some weapons here. So they already have Laviska and DJ Chark. So I think another big body guy like Terrace Marshall on the outside would be a great fit for the Jaguars here. So let's go with Marshall.
Boom. We are all over the board. I absolutely love it. All right. Browns are up. I'm going with Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Fun fact, the Browns last year were one of the most targeted teams. Their linebackers were targeted in the passing game. And we all know JOK, one of the best coverage linebackers in this class. So whether it's because the Browns didn't have any linebackers that could cover last year, or that's how teams attack them, it doesn't matter. They got JOK now, so they're going to be A-OK defending the pass with him in coverage. There we go. Baltimore Ravens, the one of 2 picks of Baltimore Ravens. Are we going to go double wide receiver here?
I mean, they're definitely using one of the picks on receivers. I think with the Saints and Packers coming up, it makes more sense for them to go receiver at 27 to try to get out in front of 2 teams that might grab one. So let's give them the dynamic slot receiver, Elijah Moore, who is going to be a stud, the next Ole Miss great after A.J. Brown and DK Metcalf.
Elijah Moore. I absolutely love it. All right. So the New Orleans Saints are up. They need a receiver too, really, honestly. And oh man, Rondale Moore is definitely tempting there. Let me see what other receivers are on the board. Kadarius Toney. He's
got some helium for to push up here to the middle.
I can't make Kadarius Toney go to the Packers. That's not going to happen because he will piss off Aaron Rodgers to the end of his career. So I'm going to go with Kadarius Toney here. I think that he can work. I think Sean Payton can work with this type of receiver, dynamic in space, can get him carries in the backfield, just get the ball in his hands. I think it works well as a compliment to Michael Thomas. So I'm going to go with, Kadarius Toney's going in the first round. I'm pretty convinced of that. Everything that I've heard is said that it's going to be him in the first round, whether it's late or mid first round. So I'm going to go with Kadarius Toney for the Saints.
All right, this one is easy for me. Greg Newsome. Packers need a cornerback so damn badly. Newsome can play zone. He can play man. He's really physical. He is another beast on the outside, and I think value meets need here really well for Green Bay at 29.
All right, I'm up 30. I'm going to go with – look, I think the fall has to stop. I would in the original mock I did, I have him drafting Barrymore here, but – Caleb Farley has fallen this far. The Bills have such a good team, and if Caleb Farley can reflect and be healthy, they got the medicals. It checks out okay. So Caleb Farley, if he resumes his status as an alpha corner, pairing him with Trey White, Bills are going to be locking down passing games. No fly zone. So Caleb Farley's the pick here for me at number 30 for the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah. I mean, the medicals are interesting wild card with no combine this year. I think the teams might be a little more skeptical than usual, dealing or trying to draft some guys with sketchy injury history. So you may see a Farley or other players with these injury risks slip more than we're expecting in the media. All right, so at 31, the Ravens got their receiver. So let's go with Barmore here. He's just too big and too freaky fast to honestly still be on the board this late. And Barmore kind of looks like a Raven.
He just has that, Raven mentality where he's just gonna mess up things up. He's gonna mess up the play. That's what he's gonna do. Okay, Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are just in a situation where they can basically do whatever they want. They don't have to draft for need because they brought back their entire Super Bowl roster, except for Antonio Brown, who technically wasn't a starter in the Super Bowl, so that's why he technically doesn't count, but whatever. So, I mean, looking at the board, I like Jason Owe as a projection defensive end. He doesn't necessarily need to start right away. You have Shaq Barrett, you have Jason Pierre-Paul, but, as someone that looked at the injury reports all last year, Jason Pierre-Paul was on the injury report like every single week because of his knee injuries. Like, he literally couldn't practice. So, that's a nice long-term outlook. And also, Asante Samuel Jr. is interesting, too. For one, Carlton Davis is a free agent after this year. And the Buccaneers have a long track record of drafting defensive backs. They've drafted a lot of them in the first, second, third round. So, and again, I think Steve and Sam talk about this on the PFF show, that you can never have enough cornerbacks. You can never have enough guys that can cover other people because when you need it all the time. So for that reason, I'll go with Asante Samuel Jr. because I think that Buccaneers need to prepare for the future. And yeah, Asante Samuel. Tom Brady used to play with Asante Samuel Sr., so give him Jr. It'll be a great time.
I like that.
All right, well, we can keep going for a couple more picks. We still got some more time. We got like 5 more minutes left if you want to keep going, Jared.
I mean, we can maybe go through a couple more teams or kind of recap. What do you think?
Let's go through a couple more teams. Jags.
All right, so
again.
So who do we give them a couple picks ago?
So we have Terrace Marshall.
Oh yeah, we got Terrace Marshall. Okay. All right, they need defense then. They need defense. Let's go with Jason Owe. He's another one of those like 4-3 freaks out of Penn State that can just rush the passer, and they need help everywhere. So,
all right. So the Jets have Najee Harris and Zach Wilson again, all offensive players. They could use a cornerback really, really, really badly. There's a cornerback from where is he? From Georgia that's been getting some buzz.
Stokes.
Yeah, Stokes.
Speedster.
Where is he? There he is. Let's get him. Let's get him to the Jets. Welcome to the show. Welcome to New York. Stokes. All right.
Let's give the Falcons some defense here with Azeez Ojulari. He's another guy who's pushing with some first round buzz.
All right.
He'll stick around in Georgia.
Azeez, all right. Miami, I feel like they've picked so many guys. So they got a tackle, they got a tight end. They're all good there. Let's see what else they need. Let's see. Walker Little. I mean, they could take a risk on Gregory Rousseau, get some pass rush. I think they should go deep. Would you agree like defense is probably kind of where they would go here? Offensive line's kind of addressed.
If you spend your first 2 picks on Pitts and OL, then probably going D, the next one. Brian Flores, head coach, D guy.
I wonder if they prefer Nick Bolton or Zaven Collins. I know those guys have both gotten some like late round 1 buzz, decent.
Yeah, Jamin Davis too, also in that kind of athletic linebacker.
Let's do some Zaven Collins action. Let's get him in there. Boom.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, we'll go to pick 40.
Okay. All right. So for the Eagles here, I mean, can we just give them another receiver?
Honestly, it's not that bad of an idea. Or linebacker.
I mean, I don't really love the fit for Rondale Moore in Philly, honestly. Let's you want to scroll down a little bit? Maybe Rousseau, they could use edge. They could use like O-line too, I feel like.
They need a lot of
a lot of things. Yeah, let's give him one of those one of those linebackers, Collins from LSU. He's a beast.
Where is he? I
think he's a little higher. or Cox, sorry.
Done. All right, Bengals. Wide receiver. What do we got for the Bengals? Who do we draft? I got it. Oh,
They need O-line. Yeah, we gave them Chase, though. They're going.
All right,
they're going tackle here.
Okay, going tackle. All right, so I'm going to go with a player that's really safe. Maybe not like a super high ceiling, but locked and loaded. Offensive lineman from Notre Dame. Literally can't go wrong. Like, it's as safe as they come, these tackles from Notre Dame. So I'm going to go with Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame.
All right. So now we got the Panthers. I'm pretty sure we went O-line earlier.
Yes. Yeah, we drafted Slater. The O-line.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, so Curtis Samuel is gone, and they need a slot opening in the slot. So let's give him Rondale Moore. That'd be fun. Joe Brady and Rondale Moore.
I think that's fun. What do we got here? Denver Broncos. They drafted Justin Fields with their first pick. They need a linebacker. Their linebacker's pretty weak. They basically only returned the two guys they had from last season who were both leader late round picks, undrafted guys. So let's get some Nick Bolton action. Cool. All right, man. That's going to wrap us up. So let's look and review let's look at the first round. It's weird because this is the first mock I've done where a lot of running backs were in it, because most of the mocks that I do just don't. I just I just can't put running backs in the first round. It's just like goes against my will of me doing mock drafts. So it was interesting to see guys like Jason Owe fall to the second round. Aziz Ojulari fall to the second round. Those were the only guys I was really surprised about. I mean, Gregory Rousseau is a total wild card, it seems like, because of his fall from grace from he was, he had 16 sacks in 2019. And then obviously this past season didn't work out the way that he wanted it to. So.
Yeah. I mean, every year we see guys slip into the second round that you just didn't expect. And, sometimes it's not, to their fault. It's other players rising, that comes at the cost of, there's only 32 first round picks here. I think the corners dropping was another thing that was a little interesting. And I don't think we see all these guys end up towards the end of round one, but I think you'll see a couple, maybe still be in the range when the Packers pick, when the Bucks pick, et cetera.
All right. Let's get you out on this, Jared. Okay. So we know that there's going to be some trades or whatever. And the buzz is it's Justin Fields. It seems like it's pretty clear that it's going to be, Mac Jones, 49ers, whatever. I think that the Falcons are really in play for Trey Lance. So Justin Fields to me seems like the final domino, and you could either have a team trade off for him. So do you think that I think the betting odds are Denver and the Patriots are the two favorites right now, I believe. Do you think that it is going to be one of those teams, or do you think that there's some other team that's just going to come up and snag him? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Nah, I don't think you're going to have the Bears or Washington come in from the clouds. The draft cost, I think, is just too high. I think to make that decision on draft day, I don't think you'll see that. I think what'll be most likely is I think you could see the Broncos try to get above the Panthers at 8 and then move up to the Lions pick at 7 for Fields if he slips. I think you could see that, and I think you could see the Patriots try to go up from 15 to 7 to the Lions spot. I think that seems like the most likely trade down scenario if one of those teams is going to come up for Fields. Otherwise, he's going to go to the Panthers or Broncos. Broncos have got to be his floor.
Yeah, I'm so torn on the Patriots because nobody thought that they were going to spend all this money in free agency, and then they do that, and now we're all buying into the Patriots are all back in, and now that everyone knows like the Patriots are going to trade up, like. I just feel like because we all are on it and buying it, that it's like not going to happen. It's like not true at all. So that's just like one thing that's just kind of in the back of my mind. But obviously I would be ecstatic beyond belief. I watched some of Justin Fields and the comp and the PFF guide is just spot on as a smaller Cam Newton, because the minute you watch him, you're like, oh my, especially because I watched a lot of Cam Newton last year, especially it's uncanny. The similarities between the guy, the way they throw, like the minute I turned it on, I was like, oh my God, like, I see that like on film. I think you should, literally, if you're watching this, like go watch Cam Newton's highlights from last year, go watch some Justin Fields highlights, and you'll see the similarities between the two quarterbacks. And it really creates a great situation for Justin Fields to kind of take over after Cam Newton or whatever, however the Patriots try to deploy it. So, I mean, either way, I think that from, fantasy, I think that Justin Fields of the Broncos, dude, I was writing about it earlier today, and Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy, they could be like the best duo. And if they had a good quarterback, they have the talent to be like a top duo in this league. It's just a matter of just getting Drew Lock out of there and just getting.
You see the drool tripping down my chin right now, thinking about that.
Yeah,
so, and Fields is more accurate than Cam Newton ever was. Fields is one of the most accurate quarterbacks that I think PFF has ever charted. Throws past the first down sticks. Last year, Fields was number one in the entire nation. So he can be even better, I think, as a passer than Cam Newton.
Yeah, he's super aggressive downfield. I think he was third in air yard. He's third in air yards percentage since 2019. So he's not dinking and dunking his way down the field. And that's good for a lot of some of the Patriots pass catchers. It just, unlocks another element to their offense that they can utilize. But, part of me is just at the same time is it's Belichick's just going to trade down. He's everyone is, now that he's got everyone convinced what he's doing, he's just going to pivot and do something different. He's going to draft Kellen Mond in the second round. Just, I don't know. But last thing. So there's been a lot of rumors about a potential trade back up into the first round. One of these other quarterbacks, I think Davis Mills is kind of the guy that's gotten most of the buzz. Do you think that's legit? Are you buying that smoke that someone's going to go after one of these, the Stanford quarter? I know the Patriots have been interested in Davis Mills. I believe the Bears are another team that have been connected to him. You think that's going to happen in the first round? You think that it's going to be 5 quarterbacks and then second round, we'll see some more quarterbacks get drafted?
If I had to say yes or no, I would say no. But I understand why teams like the Packers make that move up for Jordan Love in the first round, because you get that extra option year for a first round player compared to a second round player, which at the quarterback position, if you hit on a player, is going to save you a significant amount of money on the second contract. And if there is a team like Washington, like the Bears, that likes a Davis Mills or likes a Kellen Mond to then move up to the Bucks pick at 32 or to the Bills at 30 or the Packers at 29, that definitely is possible. But I don't think any of these specific prospects are going to be worth or are going to warrant that type of move.
All right. Well, you heard it. You heard it all. We've gone over it all. We've gone over the first round. We actually went 40 picks deep into this mock draft. So again, thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you go to the website, pff.com. Get 30% off any subscription with promo code DRAFT30. You can get access to this mock draft simulator. You can do all 7 rounds to your heart's desire. You can pick for every team. It's a ton of fun. You can go through every situation and you'll get a grade at the end. It's a ton of fun. You can literally lose. You might not sleep till draft night, honestly. And why would you want to? Again, the next couple of days are all going to be about the draft. So make sure you check everything out over on pff.com. I'm Andrew. He's Jared. Thank you for watching, and we'll be back soon. We're doing live streams all week long. So stay tuned, everybody.